fellow Miss Piggy fans. Welcome to Movin' Right Along, a Muppet movie podcast brought to you by toughpigs.com. This is normally the podcast where we watch a Muppet movie 2 minutes at a time and talk about it a lot, but that's not what we're doing today. We got another bonus episode for you. I'll tell you in a minute what we are going to be talking about. But first, I'm your host, Ryan Rowe.
I'm your other host, Anthony Strand.
And today we are doing something unprecedented for this podcast. We have 2 guests. So this will probably devolve into complete chaos, but we're going to have a really good time doing it. Both of them have been on the show several times, and they always have really good, insightful stuff to say about Muppets. Guests, please introduce yourselves in alphabetical order.
Hi, I'm Danny Horn.
And I'm Joe Hennis.
Hey.
Hello. When you said alphabetical order, I didn't know if you meant first name or last name.
I just wanted to see what would happen.
It was chaos. We're
Look,
already devolving into chaos, Ryan.
It did occur to me that you're both H's. And you're separated only by one vowel.
That's true. Just like Jim Henson.
Joe, you and Jim Henson have the same initials, right? JMS?
That's true.
JMH, yeah, JMS.
Yeah, JMH.
You and Jim, Joe Michael Straczynski have the same initials.
You and J. Michael Straczynski.
My favorite.
Our favorite Muppet creator. Yeah. So we're glad you're both here. And we are here to talk about a TV special called The Fantastic Miss Piggy Show. This aired on ABC on September 17th, 1982, which means at this point it had been over a year since The Muppet Show ended and The Great Muppet Caper had been released. So obviously America was ready for more Muppets. One other interesting thing I learned about the original airing and doing some research on this was that this special was the lead-in to a TV movie called Charles and Diana, A Love Story. So just think of the millions of people, turning on their TVs a little bit early to watch this TV movie about the royal couple. And they're like, what is this pig doing on my screen?
I guarantee that my parents were watching that because they were big fans of Charles and Diana, not of Miss Piggy.
They were rooting for that couple.
They were not hard enough. Didn't work out.
Yeah.
So I figure we can just kind of go segment by segment in this thing, which is essentially a variety show. So the opening number is There'll Be Some Changes Made, which they kind of announce their intentions right from the beginning, because it starts with all these dancers and Piggy descends from the ceiling wearing this elaborate costume. And so right away they're telling us Miss Piggy is going to be at the center of everything in the special.
As if you didn't know from the title of the program.
Yes, The Fantastic Miss Piggy Show.
And I think that this is primarily a parody of the Judy Garland show from 1963, 1964. It's clearly it's a parody of a lot of all of these kind of huge spectaculars. But I believe the Judy Garland show was kind of the first one that was sort of just built around having a celebrity and then just adoring that celebrity.
Right. Although you say it's a parody, but I don't know, man. This feels exactly like any crappy 80s TV special. Piggy could be Barbara Mandrell in this, and it would be exactly the same. Where's the parody?
This is actually that is the big question that I think I'm figuring that we're gonna talk about. I've been on the podcast a bunch of times now, and at the beginning of the episode, I'm always asking myself, okay, when do I start talking about post-structuralist literary theory?
Yeah, it's never too soon.
We have the opening, and I'm just tapping my finger, come on. When do I get to be pretentious today?
Right? Which is why we love having you on. Why we love you.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Yeah,
but here's the thing: is I think you're right. There's a question to be asked at the beginning of this special, beginning of any real Muppet thing that we're probably going to be making fun of anyway. But the thing that I literally the first thing I wrote down in my notes is this ironic or no? Because I think that's the question of parody. Is are they deliberately doing this poorly, or are they trying to do Miss Piggy's the star of this big time show, and she's kind of singing poorly or whatever, but the backup dancers are putting everything into it. It's super cheesy, but it's also 1981. So did they know that was
speaking
cheesy?
Of the dancers, Like Anita Mann was the choreographer for this, same choreographer as The Great Muppet Caper, and the dancing is so much worse. Like the dancers in this are stiff and awkward, and the dancers in that movie seem like actual professional dance. Like Steve Whitmire's one of them in this. You guys.
Yeah, he shows up a lot on camera in this thing, more than I had remembered. But yeah, it's a totally different style of choreography, I think, that she was going for, because in The Great Muppet Caper, she's doing a big movie musical throwback, and then this is just like a variety show, which I think, like
great.
watching
it's just Barbara Mandrell and the Muppets.
Yeah, well, it also occurred to me, like in the 70s, they were doing a show that was partially a throwback to vaudeville. I mean, a lot of it was just like a 70s variety show, but now it's 1983 and they're doing a throwback to the style of 70s variety show that was completely like obsolete by this point. It kind of reminded me of what I've seen of Cher's solo variety show.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I think I do think that is what they're doing. That I would like just I just want to talk for it. I just need to talk about Judy Garland for just a minute.
Please
Please.
The Judy Garland show, like 1963. I took the liberty of watching the first episode, which I had never seen before watching this, because I figured it was gonna come up. And the show is like, it starts with like huge sweeping orchestra number with like brass and violins and kettle drums, harp, all making as much noise as they possibly can. And like everything is centered around like, then the star comes out and everybody around them is just like pointing at her and kind of making a frame for her to come out and be super important. And then she sings like the first song that she sings is kind of about the show itself. And like, you know, they have guest stars on and the guest stars are just there to adore her. And so they sing like love songs, and it's, you know, obviously sort of intended to be meant as singing about Judy Garland. And so it's kind of like, and she's a little drunk and she's like kind of ragged. And so things are sort of like, it's all about how great she is, but also it's all kind of like propping her up just in case.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what they're doing, is they're making this huge, crazy show to put this frame around Miss Piggy as if she is the biggest, most important thing in the world. And then because it's Frank Oz and it's Miss Piggy and she is what she is, that like she just lives to like rub up against that and make that you know, not make that easy for anybody.
Right.
I hope that you're right, because if you look at this special as it is an homage, it is done a bit ironically, then like it's much funnier, it's much more bizarre that, you know, like I don't like everything that you said. It's, you know, they're propping Piggy up. She's a terrible singer. The jokes are bad. There's chaos behind the scenes. Like that makes sense. But if it's like, no, it's like Miss Piggy is the pig of the 80s and everyone loves her because she's a big movie star now. Let's give her own special. Then it's just like, oh, that's a big miss.
So this is that post-structuralist moment where I think the answer is that it's both.
Yeah.
Well, but here's my problem with your theory, Danny. And I always love and respect your theories, of course, and I love to hear them. But we're gonna do a really unfun John Ritter wearing a hard hat that's just a bad Muppet Lab sketch that's sluggishly paced. Like, where does that fit into this Judy Garland show theory? Because it's just Ken Berry on an episode of Sonny and Cher or something, you know, it's now, nothing.
You say that, and yet I think that sketch is actually really funny.
I think I have a lot to say. I have a lot to say about that sketch when we get to it.
I mean, I guess so. Just like so, a question is kind of is like, this is about camp. And
sure,
I'm just gonna do all of my like pretentious talk all the way up front.
Go for
it. Camp is do you guys know what I'm talking about? This sort of like excess and artificiality. It's essentially like camp is associated with homosexuality but isn't like equivalent to it. It's sort of a celebration of like artifice and frivolity, and pretentiousness and excess, and like, so, you know, RuPaul as sort of like the current, like, really obvious example. Like, you're not,
and very deliberate,
yes,
like just having fun with it.
that you're not supposed to think like, oh, RuPaul is a beautiful woman. You're supposed to think RuPaul is like a crazy gorgeous, like, dude dressed up as a woman who is like sort of like bigger and brassier and more feminine than real women are. And so, like, the quote that I have is from this Christopher Isherwood novel in 1954, who was like one of the first people who wrote about it, who said, you can't camp about something that you don't take seriously. You're not making fun of it, you're making fun out of it. And so I think that's what they're doing here. Like, that's the thing where it's both, that like they're sort of embracing like the cheesiness and the excess of it, and they're making fun with it. Like, they're making fun out of it, I think. It's a very complex. This is, it's like the Great Muppet Caper that I think you can't watch unless you have a graduate degree. Like, Fantastic Miss Piggy Show, I think then is the TV special that then takes that to TV and to the masses. And like, I totally get that nobody gets it but me. Like, nobody likes it but me. I'm totally down for that, but I will be here. I will be here to defend.
I like your comparison to talking about RuPaul, especially because as we're recording this, the first episode of Muppets Now launched recently, and we saw RuPaul and Miss Piggy have a little moment together, and it's true. Like, there's a lot of similarities between the two of them. You know, a man performing a woman who lives her life as this excessive diva, and to look at the Fantastic Miss Piggy show through that lens, especially of excess is the only word I can think of. Yeah. It's just like excess upon excess, which is, who Miss Piggy was, especially in the 80s.
Yeah, and this is, I feel like this must have been sort of the waning days of like the general public loving Miss Piggy as much as, for example, we all do.
Yeah.
Because, the Muppet Show's been over for a couple of years. Their first movie was a big hit. Their second movie was not as big a hit. They're going to make another movie, but
I actually think that this is the end of that. This is literally like, they also, exactly. In 1981, there was like the Miss Piggy's Guide to Life was on the bestseller list for months and months. People absolutely adored Miss Piggy.
And Henry Beard co-wrote this, who wrote Miss Piggy's Guide to Life.
Yeah, this is not written by the usual
this is like
Muppet
very
TV
much
guys.
Like,
so
this is like very much in the like Miss Piggy's Guide to Life.
And it's like
part of that.
It's kind of a challenge to America. Like, you liked Miss Piggy's, so you got Miss Piggy's Guide to Life. You liked that. That's a weird thing we just did, and you were totally into that. Let's just see how far we can take this Miss Piggy thing. And I think like clearly they hit that point. I think like they hit that point for everybody who I'm talking to right now, including me. Like, there is a point.
Found the threshold.
Even for me, there's a point late in the special. I'm just like, and now I'm done.
Well, it's like, here, you like Miss Piggy? How about an entire hour of just Miss Piggy?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Did anyone come out and say, yes, I like Miss Piggy that much? Because I think, personally, as much as I like the character, she works best in ensemble. As like 1/5, if not 1/12 of the cast of whatever's going on, because she can be brash and she can be obnoxious, and like the joke of like, she's a bad singer, she's kind of overweight, like it gets a little old after a while. And so to have a whole hour that's really just dedicated to her, that joke is hammered home hard.
Yeah.
And like, we're not really laughing at it by the end of this thing.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
You say that, but I think like we'll get there eventually. I think the last 5 minutes are the best part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Standalone for sure.
I do too.
Standalone, I agree. But like, watching the special straight through, by the end of that, like, we'll talk about it. But like when she's like her last couple of numbers with Tony Clifton and all that, it's like, I don't know, I'm done. Like, I'm ready to wrap this stuff up.
Yeah.
But
right, sure.
Okay, so just going through it then. I'm always interested in the billing. Like we talked about, it was, I think, guest Dudley Moore and special guest Lily Tomlin and the Muppets Go to the Movies. So here we have the Fantastic Miss Piggy show starring Miss Piggy featuring Frank Oz. So this is one of the few times that a Muppet performer gets like way up top billing. And then guest stars John Ritter, Tony Clifton, special guest star George Hamilton.
All right.
So whatever, if he had a better agent or he was just maybe because he was more of a movie star than a TV guy, George Hamilton is a special guest star. And Jim Henson's Muppets. So all the other Muppet characters are just relegated to the end of the opening credits.
And that does the Miss Piggy as sort of the central figure in the star. I think it does come from the calendars that they've done. So by this point, by 1982, like they'd done, what was it, like Pig Dreams in 1980. Were you guys around in the 80s? Is this just me that I'm the only one?
I was
old enough.
We were all born in the 80s.
Okay, I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest person. All right. Like it was a real thing. Like getting those calendars as they came out and having them on the wall all year.
I actually have the 82 hanging up in my house right now.
It's great, right?
Because after leap year, it works for 2020. So I'm actually like using it as a calendar right now.
Great.
That was a big deal, and it was like actually seriously popular. Like those pictures, you would see those pictures outside of the calendar, like in a Life magazine article. And Miss Piggy's Guide to Life, that was like a real thing that people were really into, and that is just 100% as much Miss Piggy as you can get in a book. So they weren't.
And Piggy was on the actual cover of Life magazine, I think.
Yeah, in an article that was called "The Year of the Pig," 1980.
Right.
What's interesting too, though, about the stuff that you just mentioned, so like magazines, calendars, the Guide to Life book. Frank Oz isn't in any of those. Like he was not involved at all with that character, which, going back to talking about the credits, and for Frank Oz to get second billing underneath Miss Piggy, it's like, I mean, this is inside baseball, but like, like you liked all that stuff, but like this is Frank's Piggy. Now Frank's got
it's
the
probably
reins.
a really smart move on his part to get his name out there, because even now, like he's people who only know the names of one or two Muppet performer, he's the second guy that they know the name of after Jim Henson.
And that was true at the time too. Like Frank Oz definitely got, like he that name was definitely known. Like Jim Henson and Frank Oz was known as like as the only Muppeteers, and when people talked about Piggy, they talk about Frank. But also, like, I think we all know that like Frank Oz has I don't know what to say, like a satirical streak, a little bit of like a mean streak, kind of like it's stuff I think that came out especially like later on when he would do Miss Piggy interviews that like late in the day when he's like on Regis and Kathy Lee, and
oh man,
you know what I'm talking about, right? Like he's just there to be oppositional. Like
he's described that
Martha Stewart.
He's described that as him wanting to make it interesting by approaching the interviews with a point of view. But it does, it comes across as like, does he really want to be here? Maybe he's just making trouble.
Well, and we'll talk about this later, but Ryan just found a newspaper article from when Muppets Take Manhattan came out that has Miss Piggy and the caption says, Miss Piggy makes third movie, Frank Oz, and the caption says, tired of pig puppet.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was from an article where it mentioned, like the reporter was on the set and it talked about Frank doing a scene with Piggy and then pulling the puppet off and saying, after this movie, I never want to see this pig again as long as I live.
That's just 2 years after this. Like that's not the 90s. That's not Muppet Treasure Island.
Yeah,
but I feel like that is part of this as well. Like that this is some of potentially Frank Oz saying, you know what, y'all? If you really love Miss Piggy, and the only thing when you talk to me, the only thing you want to talk about is Miss Piggy. Nobody wants to talk about Yoda. Nobody wants to talk about any other thing.
Right. Well, and he's already been bitten by the directing bug by this point.
I'm going
the Dark Crystal.
I'm going to give you the difficult, obstructionist, like Miss Piggy, and you're just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I love that. I feel like that's, I mean, Muppet Show Miss Piggy is always going to be the number one for me, but like close second is Miss Piggy on talk shows. And like, I kind of wish that we got more of that in this special. And the first example that does come to mind is during the opening credits, you can hear Piggy like shouting to people backstage, which is hysterical. And I got the feeling that was just Frank being like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I
do a
wouldn't be
thing.
surprised if that wasn't
Turn the
scripted.
camera on.
Well,
Here we go.
No, she goes
you
up.
know?
Like the thing is, like she goes up into the ceiling. She's sort of lifted into the ceiling, and then as the credits going, she's saying like, "Wait, I'm stuck. Like, go and get a ladder." And they get a ladder. And she's saying it's cold. It's cold up here.
Starring the fantastic Miss Piggy. Featuring Frank Oz. With guest stars John Ritter, Tony Clifton, special guest star George Hamilton, and Jim Henson's Muppets.
This show, Frank Oz is kind of angry, Miss Piggy is kind of angry, and this is kind of an angry show, which is something that I love about it.
Yeah.
Do you think that's who Frank Oz really is? Like, he's just like such an angry
what's
guy.
funny is when I say that, like, I don't think it's angry, like he's full of rage at all. I think it's just he's really smart, and show business is really fake. And that's and so when he goes on these talk shows, like that's what he's angry about, is like, you're trying to do like a cooking segment, like even when he's like these, I don't know if other folks know, like these talk show appearances that we're talking about, is a lot of it is around like in the kitchen with Miss Piggy, like cookbook. He does these like interviews, he goes to all these talk shows, and I think it's Regis and Kelly where
Regis and Kathy Lee,
Regis and Kathy Lee, where they're actually like trying to do a real cooking segment of like, here, I'm doing this thing from your book. And Frank Oz has no interest in doing a cooking segment. It's like the
right. He had nothing to do with the book.
Well,
no, he didn't write the book.
Piggy actually says,
not his book.
Like, I don't care about this.
Yeah, I don't want to. Who cares? Let's just go wild. Let's just combine things together. But like the talk show format demands, like the viewers are actually trying to like write down this recipe. We have to just do this recipe. And she is not participating.
No, it's so great because she's not having it. But
not
also
having
Regis, R.I.P., a consummate pro.
Yes.
Looks like he is about to tear Miss Piggy off of Frank Oz's arm and throw it on the ground.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good.
She's not playing along.
So I think like, so it's not anger like she hates anybody. It's just anger like, I'm so bored with show business.
Yeah, I like to think of Frank Oz as like the Muppet world's lovably cranky uncle.
Yeah. Can we also actually, I'm so like we're so bad at starting podcasts. There's one more thing I thought that we could mention up here, which is like the two writers, Buzz Cohen and Henry Beard.
Henry Beard, yeah.
Buzz Cohen, like, he wrote a lot of specials like this. Like I think he was like the reality guy.
Variety specials and like awards shows.
And in the early 70s.
And that's why it feels exactly like one.
But like he did but in between like 1970 and 1972, he did like the Bing Crosby's Winter Show and the Perry Como Winter Show and Bing Crosby and the Sounds of Christmas and the Arthur Godfrey Christmas special and like all of these like 70s like built around a celebrity specials. So he's the one who knows like the thing that we're making fun of. And then the other guy's Henry Beard from the National Lampoon. And he's the one who's like gonna weaponize that.
He's the one you would expect to come up with something more satirical.
Yes.
Yeah. The other thing about Buzz Cohen, I had when I looked him up, because I didn't really know who he was. He worked on the show Our Place, which was the 1967 summer variety series hosted by Ralph the Dog. So that's his original Muppet connection. And he also wrote the lyrics for the Michael Jackson song Gone Too Soon. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Yeah. What a
career.
What a strange career.
We are now clear to go
into
on
the actual content of the special. All right. Well, so throughout the whole thing.
So what happens?
Throughout the whole thing.
I just realized I'm the Miss Piggy of this episode.
Oh yeah.
I'm so angry, and I'm just demanding you all stop and listen to everything I say. I'm sorry. Please continue.
Throughout the whole episode, we have all of the other Muppets relegated to this control room where they're running the show.
Yes.
Like they never get to do an act on the stage. They never get to participate in the show. They're just running the show from the control room, which is sort of like halfway between the backstage of the Muppet Theater and the control room set from the Jim Henson Hour, because there are all these monitors and switches and things. But they are completely isolated from the action.
Yeah, I was. Well, first of all, so Kermit and Fozzie do go on stage once.
That's
later
true.
in the
Kermit
special.
introduces an act, and
yeah, but that's the only time that any Muppet, aside from Miss Piggy, is quote unquote on stage. And the other thing that I was thinking about, and I didn't really do a deep dive on the research on this, so you guys can help me fill in the blanks. But I was trying to think of like Kermit went from being a showrunner on the Muppet Show to being very specifically a TV director, and I mean, I assume this is the first time we've seen him as like a TV director.
He's actually calling the shots, like camera 1, camera 2.
Yeah, and like I don't know, I just found that interesting that like that's kind of the natural progression of like they did a stage show, now they're big TV stars, and like Kermit is the director. And I wrote down why did I write down? The 2015 sitcom where he's also like he's more of a producer in that role, but he's still like filling in the behind the scenes of a TV show. They must have done that a few other times, but like that's become like Kermit's role, right?
Muppets Tonight, it seems like he's the, I don't know, executive producer or something.
Yeah,
he's just behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I mean, like really on Muppets Tonight, he's Steve Whitmire can't be the host, frankly. But like they never really explain what his job is, but he's just kind of in charge.
He's just Kermit. He's just always around.
He's like, I'm there if you need me. Goodbye.
Yeah. Can we talk about those control room scenes real quick?
Yeah, I figured we could, like, if you have anything to say about all of the control room scenes, now's the time.
Fozzie's the only one who gets to do anything funny. Like, even when Piggy's not on screen, Frank is still the star of this because Fozzie gets all the jokes.
Right. There are a few things like that sound like ad libs to me. Like there was something Gonzo said. I forget what it was. It's like when everyone's talking at once, and I heard Gonzo say something that made me chuckle. But yeah, otherwise it's like all the Muppet performers they probably showed up for a day or two, and that was it for them.
Except
and I hate to say, like, oh, sorry, go ahead, Anthony.
Just except for Jerry Nelson, who's not in this at all. Which I don't know why, and I wonder why. And he's not the announcer, which like is one of the things that sets it apart. Right.
Yeah.
Too. Makes it feel less Muppets and more generic network special.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, he's not credited, and none of his characters are there. I don't know why.
Well, I was going to say about Fozzie being the only one who gets to be funny in this. It's like, despite the fact that like it really is Kermit and Fozzie and a bunch of background Muppets, it's still kind of the most fun thing in the whole special. I think because there's like this air of chaos behind the scenes that we're so used to from the Muppet world, and like I wanted so much more of that. And instead, it's like we just got like a little taste, and then back to Piggy doing some bit or something.
Yeah, like one of the highlights from that too for me was when Kermit calls for a camera and Fozzie tells Rizzo to do it, and Rizzo hits the button with his nose. Yeah, I was like, oh, that's a fun little moment.
I like these control room scenes so much. I just think they're funny. I think Kermit actually gets a bunch of like really funny moments. He's got like a bunch of funny scenes. And
they're doing the same shtick in Elmo's talk show, the Elmo's Not Too Late show on HBO Max, where like Elmo's doing the show, but you've got, I think it's like Prairie Dawn and Rosita and like a whole bunch of other characters like in the control room, and like there's not like as many bits as there is here, but like they're there, they're working.
Gotta give them something to do.
They're filling the background. Yeah. There was like a few moments in here that I thought were really interesting or funny. Just like some of the jargon I thought was funny. Like Kermit says, camera 1 has a 2-shot, camera 2 has a 1-shot, camera 3 has a shot of camera 4.
And
that's funny.
The funny thing about that though is Fozzie's trying to count them on his fingers. Fozzie's like, it's audio podcast, but Fozzie's like pointing everywhere, like looking at his hands.
That is so cute.
Kermit's counting out the shots. I think that's so funny.
I wrote down the whole jargon thing that Kermit does in one bit. He says, okay, now listen, Fozzie, for the consumer segment, I want a superimposition of cameras number 1 and 3 fading in from the chroma key background as 2 is dollying in for the truck shot on a wide angle split screen after the countdown. And Fozzie says, right, 1 number 36.
Yes, that was good.
That's a good line.
Excellent, yes.
And then
I love jokes like that.
You mentioned Rizzo earlier. there is a moment where Kermit has to leave the control room for a minute, and he asks Rizzo to take over. And was that foreshadowing? Think about it.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Whoa! It's like they knew, but they couldn't have known because it was 1982, and also,
Interesting.
And then Rizzo turns into Waldo.
That would have been an unexpected twist.
What happened?
So, after our first control room scene, Miss Piggy introduces the guest stars, John Ritter and George Hamilton. John Ritter, of course, the star of Three's Company, still at the time, for a couple more years. George Hamilton, I know he was a movie star. I guess I don't really know what his big break was. Or he had a hit a few years before this with Love at First Bite, which is a vampire comedy. But I guess he was just kind of like a guy that people had seen around in movies and TV.
Yeah, I also wrote down, why is George Hamilton famous?
Yeah.
Right.
I think that was a mystery at the time as well.
Well, he was comedy Zorro right before this.
Yeah.
Right,
Zorro
he
the
was
Gay
in-
Blade is 1981.
Yeah, okay. But was that a
Which
hit?
was like, I don't think it was a huge hit, but it was like heavily advertised.
People were aware of it.
Yeah.
Love at First Bite did well. I remember that. But
Right, yeah.
weirdly, so I can't believe I didn't look up. Who was he married to?
Alana Stewart from 72 to 75. And then he was partnered with Kimberly Blackford in the 90s.
All right, maybe not. I thought he was like not married to Elizabeth Taylor, but like somebody like that he had a very famous spouse, but I guess not.
Elizabeth Taylor had so many husbands. There's, name an actor from that period. There's a pretty good chance he was married to Elizabeth Taylor.
I am currently looking on his Wikipedia page, which is why I had that at my fingertips.
Of course.
Right.
The weird thing is that he
also plays Robert Duvall in Godfather 3. One of the worst. Yes. One of the worst recasts. I know he's not
several years after
playing the same character, but it's bad, and he's bad.
So the weird thing is he was really famous for being tan.
Right.
So that comes up in the
like
show.
when you ask people. Yeah.
And if folks don't get that, then there's quite a lot of the Fantastic Miss Piggy show that doesn't make sense. And I cannot explain why he was famous for being tan, but I was there and it was real. Like that was the thing that you knew about him.
And even like when KFC did like a series of a different celebrity is playing Colonel Sanders, they had him play like the tan and crispy Colonel Sanders.
Yeah.
In like 20thing or something.
Yeah. It was recent.
Everybody still knows it. Like, yeah.
So it's kind of like late 70s, early 80s. There were just things that like were super popular that people were getting into. So it was like playing arcade games and jogging and aerobics, which we're about to get to, and tanning. And like that was a thing in the late 70s and early 80s, was that like this mystique of like blonde people in California just laying out on the beach all the time and getting this glorious tan. And
right.
He was kind of the epitome of that piece of the zeitgeist.
I don't know why, but
like
that whole part of his persona, it makes me think of like an old timey Hollywood thing, even though it kind of isn't an old timey Hollywood thing. But like, I don't know, he seems like old Hollywood to me. Is it just me? I mean,
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think he's like a parody of old Hollywood, right?
Yeah,
like,
maybe that's what it is.
He's like, I mean, there's like, he does a Cary Grant imitation in this, but like he's doing an imitation of Tony Curtis doing a Cary Grant imitation in Some Like It Hot, right? Like,
right, yeah.
He's like a parody of old Hollywood.
Yeah. So in this little bit, John Ritter gives Piggy a kiss for luck, and then George Hamilton gives her another kiss from him, and then John Ritter gives her more luck, and Hamilton. She turns to George Hamilton expectantly. So then it becomes this thing where, like, basically John Ritter finds Miss Piggy attractive and desirable, and George Hamilton does not.
And she is super into George.
Yes, and Piggy wants to get with George Hamilton,
but not John Ritter. I think that dynamic between the three of them throughout the special is hysterical, and it's kind of
That's
like
a good idea.
like it's not really like it doesn't fly so well now, especially like John Ritter's advances on Miss Piggy. But like I do think that it's funny that one of them wants her, she wants the other one.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like the joke with John Ritter, though, and I agree that it does play a little off-puttingly.
It is a little creepy now, yeah.
But I think the joke is that she does that with every male guest star, right?
Yeah.
She's
Right.
Piggy is Rudolf Nureyev in the sauna
Yes.
now, right? Like that's the joke.
And she is currently doing exactly the same thing to George Hamilton as well. So yeah,
Right, right.
Yeah.
And I think
And she's so disinterested in him that she calls him John or Johnny and not Jonathan, which I think is such a nice touch.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't do that like call them by a formal name thing that she does all the time.
I love that Piggy thing. She doesn't really do that anymore now, but I wish she would.
You should write Eric Jacobson a letter and tell him to start doing that.
Maybe I will.
Hey, man, here's how to do your job.
Well, maybe he's listening right
Which
now.
you're doing
Excuse me.
So then we have Snacksercise, which is
Why isn't she eating?
Well,
Why
yes,
isn't she eating?
You can't even
That's a
move her
great
arms.
point. That's a great point, and that's also a great point. I
That's
think
why-
this is inspired by so this is the era of like the Jane Fonda workout videos
Yes.
and the aerobics is something that people do now. So yes, as we
It's
have
hip.
indicated,
It's now. The kids love it.
Songs,
So
dances,
this is-
shootings.
this is just Miss Piggy sitting on this platform, just sitting there, talking about.
Eating.
It's as if she's going to start talking about working out and then lead some exercises, but she doesn't actually do any exercises because she doesn't exercise. She eats. That's what Snacksercise is. And then she just sits there and talks about eating a banana split and a candy bar while the dancers behind her act out the motions of eating those things. And that's it. And it doesn't go anywhere.
It's bad. I hate it. It's
This is-
terrible.
Easily the worst part of not just this special, but of the 1980s.
Now, to warm up, we will begin with some banana splits. Ready? Here we go! Lift the dish, grab the spoon, take a bite and chew, 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 swallow. Yes, tray good!
And this is what they lead with. Like, this is the first thing after the opening. This is their big.
And on the album, I think it's like I like that album. I like that track on that album.
Right. So yeah, we
It's
should
like a
explain.
thing.
Yeah, we should explain for those who don't know that Snacksercise is a track from Miss Piggy's aerobic workout exercise album, which came out that same year. Also part of also as a response to the current workout craze.
Yeah.
So I guess they just felt like they wanted some kind of tie-in to that. I don't know if this was necessarily the best track to use from that, but yeah, it doesn't really amount.
And
to
they don't say anything about the album. They're not like
That's true.
explicitly promoting the album.
She doesn't say
You know?
here's a song from my new record that
You
you
just
can go
have
out
to
and buy.
know. You just have to,
Right.
to walk into, I don't know, Coconuts Music. Did that exist in 1982? Probably not.
Sure.
Yeah, it's
Sam Goody.
Sam Goody. There it is. It's so bad. I feel like embarrassed for Piggy, for Frank Oz, for all the dancers in the background who were forced to do this thing. It's not funny. It's not interesting to look at. I will say, so if anyone out there is an Amazon Prime member, they put some Jane Fonda workouts on there from the 80s. And my wife and I watched one, and she did the exercise, and it was actually really challenging. And she's like a fitness person, so whatever that tells you. But it was interesting to have just recently watched an '80s Jane Fonda exercise thing, and then just watch this. There's really no comparison. I mean, you know what it is. It's 80s. It's leg warmers. It's moving around to a funky beat. But still, I don't know. It was cool.
Yeah. All right. So then this is actually technically a control room scene, I guess, but we're introduced to Kevin T. Gregory from the network, who wants to talk to Kermit. And you kind of think that he's going to give Kermit a hard time about how the show is going, but he doesn't. He just kind of says hi to Kermit, and then they talk about the next number, and that's it.
I mean,
Comedy gold.
At least that pays off at the end. Like,
Yeah, I guess they had to introduce the network guy to bring him back later for that.
but also those scenes out in the hallway do not feel like the control room scene. Like, they don't feel like this special. Like it feels like we're watching like a gritty 70s movie.
It's an actual hallway.
Every time
And
they
you,
go in that hallway,
people walk around the back.
Yeah, it's right. You're President's Men all of a sudden, or something. It's bizarre.
That's interesting. Well, I guess the control room where the Muppets are as a set probably that was built so the puppeteers could maneuver.
I like that.
Yeah, the hallway's probably a real hallway.
I like that Kermit has stuff to do.
Sure.
That Kermit is like he's a real character in the show. So I kind of like that. I like him like talking in the hall. I don't know. He like in a way that like Piggy is entirely about artifice, like in general and in this show. And like Kermit in the show feels to me like the core of like reality. Like he's the real person, and kind of keeps it grounded.
Sure. I guess it does also kind of feel like one of his like backstage talking to a guest star on the Muppet Show, just talking about how the show is going. So yeah, gives Kermit something to do. So then we have the pagan ritual number. Yes, Joe.
Sorry, before you go on. So we didn't even mention like that Kevin T. Gregory, the network vice president, is played by a guy named Tom Harvey.
Yes, he's a Canadian character actor.
Yeah, his name is not actually Kevin T. Gregory. And I didn't recognize a whole lot of his IMDb. He's one of those like guys who's been in a million things because he's just some character actor. But he was in Shelley Duvall's Fairy Tale Theater. He was in the 1967 Spider-Man animated series as Electro and Sandman.
Yeah, I did see that.
Awesome.
Yep, I thought that was neat. I don't know.
That's fun.
I mean, look on his IMDb. He's done a million things, and then he just passed away like 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh,
Aw.
We missed his
R.I.P.
obit.
Fake network vice president.
yes.
Oh.
For Tom Harvey.
Skip of the hat.
Okay, so the pagan ritual number. This is another thing that you would probably not see now.
I want to know if Anthony has like the super angry 5-word hot take capsule review like you did for Snacks or Ciders.
Okay, Anthony, go.
I want that. I want why isn't she eating?
Like,
I want that hot take.
Well, the only hot take is that I'm disappointed in Joe Rogan because the thing about it, like I think that the whole thing is just kind of like impressively weird, but the song feels like just like some hacky nonsense, and Joe Raposo wrote it. Like I'm disappointed in a hero.
There you go. All right, that's
He
what I
was probably
wanted.
very busy at the time with other projects. He may not have been able to give this song his fullest attention.
I mean, I can give you like a quick one-word take on that I was expecting Anthony to say, which is racist. This thing is mad. Racist.
Yes, correct.
Well, that's what I mean. You wouldn't see this now. Yeah, we just don't do things like this now.
Everybody gonna have a party at the luau.
Bring a big zucchini.
Everybody feeling very happy at the luau.
I like your bikini.
Romance fills the breeze. Anything you please. Everybody gonna have a luau tonight.
You wanna ride on my Suzuki?
But I mean, it is like I think the special must have been pretty expensive because you have things like this giant tiki idol head that really just for one number that Miss Piggy climbs on top of and then falls off of, and then that's pretty much it. Steve Whitmire is pretty prominent in this one. He has a couple lines in the song. He says, "I like your bikini,"
and his voice is unmistakable. Also,
yes, it sounds like a Steve Whitmire Muppet. Essentially,
yeah, it's just like Marlon Fraggle is there all of a sudden. Like,
did any of you guys also think about the fact that like there was a couple of very subtle references to the previous two? Because like this special is promoting Muppets Take Manhattan, right?
No, the special.
No, it's not promoting anything.
I mean,
it's not promoting anything.
It's 2 years before that.
Oh,
it's 2 years before Muppets Take Manhattan.
Well,
it's just
right.
promoting Miss Piggy.
Forget I said that, but it does feel like there's references to the previous two movies.
Mm-hmm.
In a way that I think only people like us would ever notice. One of which is that Miss Piggy is carried out by 4 strong men.
Yes.
Like she's on like a throne. They're carrying her out, and Frank Oz is like hidden inside the chair, which I always find amusing. But like they did the same bit in Muppets Go Hollywood.
Yeah.
In which promoted the Muppet movie.
Yeah.
And later in the sketch, Piggy's, like you said, she's climbing up the idol,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing as when all the Muppets are climbing up the Mallory Gallery, even though Miss Piggy's not in that scene.
Oh yeah, it's the same like puppetry move of
Right.
her arms and legs
Yeah, the
scooting
arm
up
and
the side of.
and the elbow are alternating as she sidles up the side.
Yeah. Yeah, and there are a few moments in this where it's fun to play the game of where is Frank Oz right now?
Yeah.
He's inside things or under things or behind things.
He's inside things or under things or at the store buying a can of beans.
Yes, and nobody bothers him because nobody recognizes him.
I'm going to start a blog called "Where's Frank Oz Now," and it's really just like TMZ shots of Frank Oz
under stuff,
buying beans at different stores.
He loves beans.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but you already have that blog. It's called
toughface.com. All right. Well, George Hamilton is in this number too, but I don't really like. He's just playing some kind of weird, broad character. I'm not sure if he's supposed to be anybody.
Yeah, he's the king of the luau. They call him the king of the luau.
Yeah. But he's doing this weird, like, hey, look at me. I don't know if he's playing a character that, like, if it's supposed to be a caricature of somebody that we should know.
Well, it's George Hamilton being like, I'm George Hamilton.
That is basically
you guys. He slices a watermelon. He's a parody of Gallagher.
Perfect.
But like, here's the thing: is like we're already making fun of like Pacific Islanders played by a whole bunch of white people in this thing, like a horrible parody of like a real race of people. And then George Hamilton comes out to play their king, and he's just a white guy with a tan.
Yeah,
like he might as well be in brownface, right?
Right. Well, I don't know. I mean, he always is tan though.
Well, yeah, but why is it him and not John Ritter? It's because he's the tan guy,
right?
Yeah,
right. True. Correct.
Yeah, I guess so.
Wait, I'd written down another Muppet movie reference. Is that P's wearing this golden turban in the scene, which looks very much like the turban she's wearing in the Muppet movie in the. During the movie scenes, in the bookend.
Yes, which was the style 4 years ago at this point.
Yes.
And I thought of another reference to a Muppet movie, which is that in Muppet Treasure Island, they do this exact same racist bit.
There's that. I'm just going to speak up for the thing that I love about this number. Which
please do.
You're not allowed. We have to hate it as a group.
No, I know, but I'm just going to be in there. That this is the number where they try to kill Miss Piggy.
They do. They want to eat her.
Yes.
She doesn't realize it at first, but they want to eat her.
End, but like, so this is one where she is. It's this weird tension of like she's brought out as like the idol. The person that we are literally worshiping, like, and you have these like huge oiled muscle men bringing her out, and it's very much like this variety show with celebrity, like we are all worshiping this person, and then it's really not clear whether they're worshiping her or they're going to kill her.
Right.
And then there's a point where she has to like battle them, and she basically tries to. It's similar to what she actually does for real at the very end of like she is at war with this musical number. And it kind of turns out at the end that they sort of say like, oh no, that's not what we're doing at all. I'm going to use this sword to chop up this watermelon. And so it's kind of a weird ending.
It's right. So Serve Man isn't a cookbook.
Right. Yes. But I do like that kind of like, just the weirdness of, is Miss Piggy like, being celebrated or cooked right now?
Yeah, no, you're right. And that is a good way to do a number in a Muppet thing where they think that it's going to go one way and then it goes out of their control, or out of Piggy's control specifically in this case. Yeah. All right. Next is the consumer advocate segment, also known as "Don't Take It Lying Down, Sucker."
That's a weird joke right there.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit earlier.
Yeah, it is big time.
So Piggy is hosting. John Ritter is there to test a hard hat. Piggy hits him on the head with a hammer, and then they drop a steel girder on his head, and that's it. It feels like it's comedy. It's the rule of threes. There should be one more thing, even more ridiculous. Like if this were a normal If this were an episode of the Muppet Show, I would expect it to be like a walrus was going to land on his head. But this special is not quite wacky enough for that. Yeah, like a Muppet walrus or a camel or something.
I was thinking the Sweetums would have come out and given him a bonk on the head or something like that.
Perfect. Yeah, but the special is a little bit. It's less absurd than the average Muppet thing, so that doesn't happen.
Less funny. That's what I say.
I think.
Correct. I mean, John Ritter is funny. He's given it his best shot. He stumbles.
John Ritter he's going for it.
Yeah. I mean, that is what I think. That is the point of this sketch. Is just like they have John Ritter, and there's a lot of things that John Ritter is good at. Like John Ritter is sort of like unacknowledged now, as like how really really funny he was, because he was mostly on shows that weren't actually that good. But he's really like he has many, many amazing comic skills, and one of them is he can get hit on the head.
Yeah, he was just a great slapstick.
Yeah,
guy.
he falls down really well. He gets hit on the head really well. Like he does that, like kind of like addled and sort of that is a huge skill of his, and I think that's why this sketch exists.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right, and he does a great job.
You're right.
And I think it doesn't. It's pretty short. If it had gone on longer, maybe I would have liked it less. But it's fine.
Something occurs to me with this conversation is, on the old Muppet Show, they would have like brought in a guest, and they would have either like leaned heavily into their strengths, or they would have let them do something that is completely opposite of like let Rudolph Nureyev sing a song, let Beverly Sills sing tap dance and sing a country song or whatever. And here it's like we have two guest stars, and it's like almost like it's a rider in their contract that you got to make jokes about George Hamilton's tan, and you got to let John Ritter do the thing where he like gets hit and he kind of stumbles and falls to the ground.
Yeah.
Because he's so good at it. And like they very much play to those types of strengths that they have. But like a part of me is also thinking I would have rather seen, especially John Ritter, knowing what he was capable of, like let him do more. Let him like really, I don't know, do something that you can't see on Three's Company.
Yeah.
Like do a real musical number.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, I mean, he kind of gets to do that at the end.
He kind of
a little bit. But... It would have been better if they had let him be Buffy's mom's robot boyfriend.
Ted.
I guess I see like George Hamilton and John Ritter in this as assets, and what we're seeing like with the pagan number, and then with this consumer sketch is like we are deploying our assets, that we have paid money for.
Yeah, I also just want to say that back in the day, my Windows startup sound on my computer was John Ritter on Buffy as Ted saying,
"Buffy, how about a nice game of Parcheesi?"
in his voice.
Wow, that's such a Ryan Rowe thing to do.
Isn't it?
It is. I have one other thing I want to say about this sketch, and it's just that I really love Piggy's style in this. She's got like this short crop blonde hair. She's wearing like a shirt and tie and these geek glasses. That I think it's a great look that she, as far as I know, never wore anything like that again. It's so like anti-Piggy. Like it's not glamorous, and it's not like she's like we're not like looking at her fancy purple gloves or whatever. Yeah, and like I don't know, it's just like it's a great look for her. I think it's cool.
Yeah, she has so many looks in this special, but this is a good one.
Can I tell you this was going to come up later, but I counted how many costumes she wears. Special. She wears 23 different costumes in this thing.
Oh, I would not have guessed that many.
I should have made you guess.
I was going to guess 12.
No, 23.
12 in the calendar number.
Almost.
I was going to talk about this then. That the calendar number is like all about how many unbelievably great Callista Hendrickson costumes can we waste. Like because
just to be on screen for 5 seconds.
Because the whole number is just like one after another, and then she's gone and she never wears again. I'm so glad that you counted that, because 23 is an amazing number of costumes.
And to be fair, I started counting like in the second scene because I had a feeling there'd be a lot. I had forgotten about the calendar number coming up. that was like a thing, because I was already expecting that number to be super high. I was just and especially like you say, some of these, like, I mean, calendar number, sure, that's the gag. But some of these, it's like this one, for example, it's on screen for a minute and a half.
Yeah.
And then the scene is done, and then we never see it again. As far as we know, Callista Hendrickson burned that costume.
This is why I'm thinking like this might be the most expensive Muppet TV special, or at least up to this time.
And they really like that was the thing with Piggy, especially back then that they were so serious about was like it's real couture, like it's like we're using real materials and it's hand stitched and like all this stuff. They're still kind of doing this now when she does like fashion magazine stuff. But they put that effort into every single one of these costumes.
I do hope these costumes are all like in a box at the Center for Puppetry Arts somewhere.
Well, and we'll probably talk about the over the top gag credits at the end.
Yeah.
But Callista Hendrickson's credit here is Miss Piggy's Stunning Gowns by Callista Hendrickson. Perfect. And it's the best credit she's ever received in anything because it's like that's how she should always have been credited. In those days, you know,
in the Great Muppet Paper.
And that's the thing too is like they had one person who that was her only job was just making costumes for Piggy, and I don't know if that's how they do things now. They have someone who like it's like having someone at Pixar who all they do is hair or something, but like. The fact that maybe we weren't talking about like Louis Vuitton shoes or anything, but she has her own, not just a stylist, but like someone who is creating original clothing for her for every shot that she's in.
Yeah.
I don't have that.
Another person who is extremely well dressed is Tony Clifton. Who has the next spotlight in this special.
Before we go on, can I just say that, Joe, I know you're an Andy Kaufman guy. Danny, I know you hate Tony Clifton. I'm so excited to hear you guys both talk about it. All right, go on. Ryan.
Okay. So background first. I think most people probably know, but
I do.
Tony Clifton
I do not think that is the case.
You don't think people know this?
No, I think this is very complicated.
Okay,
I don't even understand it.
Tony Clifton was the alter ego of Andy Kaufman, this comedian whose work is sort of legendary in the way that he never did anything like traditional comedy. It was almost aggressively unfunny or like aggressive toward his audience at times, just unpredictable. And sometimes he would appear on shows or in live appearances as this obnoxious, untalented lounge singer character, Tony Clifton. So where he's wearing this prosthetic makeup, he has a fat suit and a wig and the sunglasses, so he was unrecognizable to people. But when people started to figure it out, he and Tony Clifton would both deny that they were the same person. And today we also know that sometimes when Tony Clifton would make appearances, it wasn't actually Andy Kaufman. It was his comedy writing partner, Bob Zmuda, who would put on the costume and be Tony Clifton for those performances. Side note, Joe and I have been to a Tony Clifton concert, which is perhaps a topic for another time.
Wait, what?
No, what are you talking about? This is the only reason I decided to be on this episode of the podcast.
Oh, okay.
This is the only time you'll ever talk about this.
Yeah, it was like 2007?
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
It was supposedly a Hurricane Katrina relief.
It was because it was soon after Hurricane Katrina. His backing band was they
were all from New Orleans.
They were called something like the F Hurricane Katrina Band, not the word F. You know what I mean? And they were amazing. They were like a real jazz band. Like
the band was fantastic.
Yeah. And I don't know, like Tony Clifton was like doing his shtick that like we're all familiar with. We're like, he's singing bad songs and he's pouring water on some poor schmuck's head, and even though it was like obviously a plant in the audience, and like, but the thing is like. Bob Zmuda has talked about the difference between his Tony Clifton and Andy Kaufman's Tony Clifton. This is something that I want to talk about for this show too, is like the question of who is playing Tony Clifton in this special. And
right,
I assume that it's Andy Kaufman. I assume this for two reasons. One is because it sounds like Andy Kaufman's voice to me. And the second reason is in Bob Zmuda's autobiography, he talks about this special, which I meant to find and bring for this podcast, but I forgot. But he talks about like Andy and Jim meeting and they bonded over their love of Howdy Doody and things like that.
Right, I remember that.
Mm-hmm. But what he also said, unrelated to that, is the difference between the two Tony Cliftons is that Andy's Tony Clifton was abusive, but Bob Zamuta's Tony Clifton was just obnoxious, and the Tony Clifton in the special is not abusive. Like he's not prodding at the people who have hired him for the show. He's not making them regret that hiring him. He's just being obnoxious and playing into the joke, very much leaning into the joke that he's obnoxious, and like almost being like behind the scenes okay with the fact that they're calling him obnoxious,
even when his act isn't really landing with the audience.
Right, exactly.
He just
so that tells me that it might be Bob Zamuta, but I honestly don't know. I don't know that for sure.
Well, I've gone since I think I knew about Tony Clifton before the first time I saw this special. So I've gone back and forth so many times on, is this Andy Kaufman or is it Bob Zamuta? And this time I landed back on Andy Kaufman because I went and watched a couple of clips on YouTube of Kaufman Clifton appearances and Zamuta Clifton appearances. And this does sound more like Andy Kaufman doing the Tony Clifton voice. Also, I seem to recall, I don't have Bob Zamuta's book anymore, but when he talked about doing this special, he said something to the effect of Tony Clifton was on his best behavior that week, which makes me think that maybe Andy Kaufman was just like, okay, it's the Muppets. I don't want to
basically it's Jim
too
Henson,
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I wouldn't be surprised if Andy did see Jim Henson as a bit of a kindred spirit.
Yeah.
And like, all right, I'm not going to screw with you. I'm going to give you what you want because you obviously love Tony. Like, I mean, I think they hired
to do this. Yeah.
Tony. They didn't hire Andy Kaufman. You know, because when you hire, I mean, according to the movie Man on the Moon, like if you hire Andy Kaufman, you don't know if you're going to get Andy or Tony.
Right.
But in this case, it's like, no, they deliberately wanted Tony Clifton.
I would love to know, though, whose idea it was to have Tony Clifton on the Fantastic Miss Piggy show. Like,
great question.
Was it just Jim Henson thought he was funny, or
Frank Oz? Henry Beard.
Yeah,
kind of a
that's
Henry
a good
Beard
guess.
joke.
The other thing, though, as far as the evidence, there's a documentary on Netflix called The Great Beyond about the making of the Man on the Moon movie and Jim Carrey getting like way too into character as both Andy Kaufman and Tony Clifton. And there's a scene, I think it's from the set of Man on the Moon, where people are watching this act from the Fantastic Miss Piggy show, and someone asks, like, is that Jim, or I mean, is that Andy or Bob? And Jim Carrey, I think, says that's Andy, and then somebody else says, no, that's Bob. And then they all kind of like, they're all talking at once, trying to figure out, and no one can really decide who it is.
For what it's worth, I saw The Great Beyond, and I don't believe a word of anything they do in that documentary. I think it's all made up, and I don't know why more people aren't saying that.
Really?
Yes.
You don't think Jim Carrey was that into character, like pretending or like truly believing that the spirit of Andy Kaufman had entered his body on the set?
Well, now that you say it out loud, it sure does sound believable.
But it's Jim Carrey. He's a weird guy.
Oh, he's so weird. So weird. He must have been possessed by the ghost of Andy Kaufman.
No, I'm not saying that he was possessed. I'm saying he thought he was possessed.
I actually
there's a big difference.
I think that all of this is actually kind of the point of Tony Clifton and of Tony Clifton's like appearance on this special, that like it's all this, there's all this stuff about like artifice and camp of like, is this supposed to be real or is it not? Are we actually enjoying this or are we making fun of it? And Tony Clifton, like from what I was not like an Andy Kaufman or Tony Clifton person. This was the first time I'd ever encountered Tony Clifton was watching the special. Like I think like it's part of, from what I understand, like it's part of Kaufman's like performance and what he was doing with Tony, like in all the places that he was, that people like, I don't think people could ever say, okay, I think what he's going for is X. Like there's these layers of like hoax and prank. And
he wants to keep people guessing.
Like, is he trying to upset people, or is he like intentionally trying to trick people to make fun of them for having a reaction to Tony? Or is he like critiquing this? Like it's this very like, I think this very kind of like camp performance, and especially like appearing in this special, I think people like America who was watching this, I think was not clear on like, who is this guy? What is happening right now?
Yeah. And that was probably that level of confusion was probably good enough for Andy Kaufman
Yeah.
and his sort of performance art band of comedy.
Yeah.
So anyway, what Tony Clifton actually does is he sings this medley of songs about music, including notably Sing, which originated on Sesame Street and was also a hit for the Carpenters.
I am music and I sing the song. Because you gotta make your own kind of music, sing your own kind of song, make your own kind of music, even if nobody else sings along. Sing along. Sing a song, sing it loud, sing it strong. Sing of good things of bad, sing of happy.
And then he does his famous rhyming bit, which is just like he thinks of a word and then thinks of other words that rhyme with it. And backstage, we see that Piggy loves it, and I'm not quite sure why.
Well,
like, I'm not sure where
Grover does that same bit.
Grover does.
Yeah,
Rhyming words.
Grover loves to rhyme words. It's
Does she think that she hired
Ryan,
Grover?
it's Sesame Street. I don't know.
I'm trying to think of when Grover did a bit where he rhymes words.
Grover does the rhyming game with the mom from Between the Lions in a Casablanca themed commercial. Ryan.
Anthony.
Oh, that
wow.
sounds familiar.
You're so angry about that commercial, Anthony.
This podcast has riled Anthony up.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Andy Kaufman would be so happy.
No. This podcast is tearing us apart.
I mean, I love the fact that Piggy's the only one who thinks it's entertaining. I mean, she obviously sees it as like, I think it's more of along the lines of like a Sam the Eagle joke, where she's seeing it as like, well, you're old Hollywood, you're Vegas,
Mm-hmm.
like that's why it's good. It must be good, without actually looking at the quality or of the contents.
So I think I have the kind of the connection here is with the Kermitage, like Miss Piggy's collection of art masterpieces. There's it's a calendar and there's all these pictures that are amazing. But also, have you guys read the book? There's a book
No, I actually haven't.
that goes with it. It's so good. That has, and so the idea of the book is like, this is essentially like the museum tour guide that you get as you're going into the Kermitage collection. And Miss Piggy has acquired all of these amazing pieces of art and is showing them. And so all of the descriptions are sort of her talking about how great this art is, but it's also like, from the description you see that like it's not actually very good, and really this is from some dude who's like Michelangelo's cousin who threw this together in a couple of days.
And did Henry Beard write that?
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that's what this is. Like, the joke of the Kermitage collection is partly that it's like these funny art parodies, but also that like Miss Piggy thinks that she has great taste, but she really does not.
Yeah.
She can speak French. She thinks that she can be
Right.
glamorous. And so here they introed this Tony Clifton thing by saying like Miss Piggy went out and scoured the country to find talent. So she thinks that like she's this amazing star maker, and what she's found is this like insane man.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the flip side of that I love that the rest of the Muppets in the control room, like their reaction is just that they're like, like they're kind of stone faced. They're just tired. They're just waiting for it to be over. Like they could be slapping their heads. They could be like, this is terrible. They could be making.
They don't want to say anything,
but they're just like,
yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
which I think might also be kind of the reaction that most people, maybe not most people, but a lot of people are having watching the special as a whole.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, they do, like, they cut back to the control room a lot. They don't let his entire act play out, which there might be a reason for that.
But this is actually a moment. So, I love the special, and I have like all of these theories and thoughts about like Tony Clifton and how like camp it is, and how like from media theory pretentiousness, like I think it's super interesting. But when I watch this, like there's a moment where you think that he's done with the rhyming, and then and then he's like, no, go, and like there's like one too many, and it pushes it too far, and I just like, even I who love Miss Piggy and I actually love the special, I'm done. Like there's a moment where I'm just like, oh for fuck's sake, like just move on.
I can rhyme any word with song. song, long, wrong, King Kong, Empire State Building. I can run any word you call out, any word. Want to hear? Want to call out a word? No. No. Ho. Ho, ho, ho. You know, like Santa Claus. Row. Row your boat. Gently down a stream. Go.
Isn't he something?
Go to the stall.
Interesting.
See, and I think that's all on purpose. I mean, that's Tony Clifton's thing.
I
Is
think
like
in this
he's going
case
to push
it
it
is,
just a little bit too far, just to make you rip your hair. Like you think you get the joke, and then by the time you think that the joke should be over, you're like, maybe that's not the joke.
Right. And like you say,
joke
he's
is
not
on me.
abusing anyone, but he's still being very obnoxious and annoying.
This
And
is a very
it's-
challenging special. Like this special is hard to watch, like in some interesting good ways, and then occasionally, like it's just hard to
this act in particular felt very much like one of those Muppet Show acts where they just like put something on stage and you don't actually see it. You know, like Clive Coenga's, singing the
Civil
Permanent
Servant
Abatement Code. Like I think that seems like the kind of thing where it's like, oh yeah, we got this, terrible lounge singer, and he's going to go rhyme on stage, and then you see him 5 seconds, and then you cut back to the actual action, behind the scenes. But we
But here you
really
actually see
we
a lot of
actually
it,
have to watch most of it.
Right. All right. Anything else about Tony Clifton before we move on? He will be back in the special. But
Thank God.
all right.
Yeah.
Next is Cozy Corner, which is like a little talk show segment with Piggy. For those playing the Where is Frank Oz game, he is inside a wicker chair that Piggy is sitting on.
No, like today, he's inside of a wicker chair.
He's still there, yes.
He
They
just
forgot to take him
misses
out.
it. Every once in a while, he
Yes.
just curls himself up into a
Yeah,
ball.
he asked.
Gets inside
he
a
asked if he
chair.
could take it home.
He says to his wife, "You know what? Today's just going to be a wicker day for me." Okay.
Don't we all have those
Thank you.
days?
Yeah.
Is that what that Nicolas Cage movie is about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a Frank.
The Wicker Man.
It's a Frank Oz biopic.
The bees. All right. George Hamilton is Piggy's guest. She wants to play a love scene with him in which he will play Cary Grant and she will play a Southern belle. We talked about this earlier. He does a Cary Grant impression, which is funny. Piggy gets to do the Southern belle accent that we heard her do in The Muppets Go to the Movies, which
I
is
think is
a delight.
Yes.
Continuity.
She says, "Kiss me, you fool," which is hilarious. But before they can kiss, Kermit calls for a zoom in on Piggy's face, which disrupts the whole scene and ruins the mood. So that's when Kermit and Piggy get in an argument in the hall.
This is one of my favorite parts of the special.
Yeah, the talk segment or the argument.
Kermit getting jealous and mad.
Right.
I think it's kind of important. Like it's a moment where just really explicitly, this is, there's a bunch of scenes all the way through the Muppet Show of like she is trying to make Kermit jealous and it doesn't work because he doesn't love her.
Right.
And
we've talked about that.
Yeah, and now like I think thanks to, starting with Great Muppet Caper, I think officially like, yes, actually like there is a romantic thing between them that is never like really defined or whatever. They don't really talk about it, but like,
I do think the movies was when they really decided that, okay, this is
thing.
actually a thing. Kermit and Piggy. Yeah.
And so this is a moment where Miss Piggy is actually having like, it was the joke back in like season 2 Muppet Show that she could possibly make Kermit jealous. It was like, well, obviously he's not going to because he has nothing to do with her. But now that actual thing is happening and he is really jealous and he doesn't really know how to handle it.
Yeah.
And I think it's very beautiful.
Yeah. When they're arguing, she says, well, if it isn't Francis Ford Frogula, always like that joke. I feel like they use that in some like Jim Henson biography special or one of those.
Oh yeah, that's familiar. Oh yeah, they did. I think someone can correct me if I'm wrong, and they will. I'm going off a fuzzy memory of the Jim Henson tribute special right after he passed away, and we see her say, the Francis Ford Frogula line, and then we cut to an interview with Talking Head with Francis Ford Coppola. Like that was.
Yep. I think you're right. I think that was
it
the
that?
PBS Great
Oh, was it-
Performances special.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense than what I was thinking. But yes, one of those things.
The World of Jim Henson, I believe, but I'm sure someone out there will let us know.
Okay, but why isn't it Francis Frog Coppola? Like
that occurred to me too. Yeah, I guess
it feels like such a first
I
draft.
No, I guess maybe you want the word frog to be in the last word of the joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Frogula is just fun to say.
Yeah, fair enough.
Frogula, booby. Yeah. I also want to say before this scene with Kermit and Piggy, George Hamilton is wearing like this bright pink track jacket with Miss Piggy's face on the breast.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of amazing, and I want to know if it's like real. Did someone get to take that home?
I hope George Hamilton did. I hope he still has
wearing it today.
He is in his wicker chair.
He's sitting Frank Oz, and he's sitting in the wicker chair.
Yeah, he wears that jacket. We don't see John Ritter wearing a jacket like that, do we?
Wouldn't work on him.
No,
yeah, maybe not.
It doesn't work with his pale complexion.
He's not suave enough to wear a Piggy jacket. Right. So then Piggy goes on stage. She wants to sing a song.
I have just a thing. That Kermit and Piggy in the hall scene, I think is really like it's one of my favorite scenes in Great Muppet Capers. Their big fight at the park. And this is very similar. And Kermit has this great line of like, your acting moment, ha, to your acting moment, which is just like this very like Kermit-y thing to say. And he gets mad and he goes back in the control room. And like, you see her like realizing that she just messed something up and she's very sad and she walks away. And Kermit comes in and Fozzie tries to like comfort him. It's this real emotional moment. And Kermit says, I don't want to talk about it. Is the pig on her mark? Get the pig on her mark. I don't know if that does anything for anybody else, but for me, I actually think that's a kind of like a beautiful Kermit.
No, it's great. It's great.
I agree. Yeah.
No, that's good.
There's a lot happening in his little froggy mind.
Yeah.
Right. And subtle.
Yeah.
Is this also the scene where the like lunch arrived in the control room and Kermit walks back in and they're all eating?
Before he leaves. Yeah, right before he leaves, Scooter comes in with everyone's lunch, and when he comes back, everyone's eating sandwiches.
And it sounds like they're just like mashing mayonnaise around in a bowl. It's just
they're all just like
but they're all doing it. I don't know why.
Yeah. That's how you eat a sandwich, Joe.
I guess.
Is that how you eat a sandwich?
Sandwich eating noise. So the one thing that I think is weird about this moment is that it should have happened later. Like if there's one thing I would change about
this is the closest thing to an arc or a
storyline. It's like a little like actual emotional moment.
Yeah, and then it's done.
Or at least like this is
this
could have been a runner all the way through. And we're going to talk about this in a second. But like when Piggy sings "You Light Up My Life" and Kermit literally starts to glow.
Yeah,
which is I think it's a great shot. It's a great reference. I actually really love it. It shows a lot. Like Kermit's not moving in that scene; he's just glowing, and you could tell there's so much emotion that he's feeling. But like that's the kind of thing where like that should have been the finale. Yeah. Like the finale should have been Kermit going, "Oh, like I do." Like she made up, and we're fine, and whatever. Yeah. But like the whole story happens within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, so she dedicates the song to him, and then I guess everything's okay between the two of them. And then after the commercial break, there's a bit with Tony Clifton again that I had completely forgotten about, where he insists that he's only here as a favor to Piggy to help the ratings, and then Piggy shows up and he's very obsequious and says that he really appreciates her giving him the opportunity. Go ahead, Anthony.
Well, I think that's maybe the first time they ever did that. Like, let's be obsessed with the ratings thing that would come up again and again after this.
Ooh,
it's on Jim Henson Hour and it's on Muppets Tonight and just like
they talk about
like
the ratings.
The newest episode of Muppets Now, as we're recording this, has a runner about like we got to show the focus group. We got to make sure the focus group approves of our Muppet stuff. Like, and it's just Statler and Waldorf, but still, like, I feel like that starts here.
What I was seeing, watching that scene in summer of 2020 is how much that seems like Donald Trump.
That's
I was
what
gonna
my,
say
that's
the
what my
same
wife
thing.
Roz said. Yeah,
Watch that scene again.
Roz
If it,
said the
like,
same thing.
I bring the ratings up. Oh, really? Yeah, like, I bring the ratings up. If it wasn't for me, there wouldn't even be ratings on this show.
Yep.
And then,
Fat
like,
guy with a bad comb over.
Yes.
An untalented hack.
Bully.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, like, as soon as someone comes in that he, like, just immediately retreats and cringes
Yep.
and says, oh, no, you know.
Well, there was
Wow.
It's Vladimir Putin.
there was like a joke / rumor running around during the last election that Donald Trump was going to win the election and then rip off his mask and it was Andy Kaufman underneath.
Yes.
Oh, right.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you see that, and like of course it could be Andy Kaufman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So super weird watching this now.
Yeah. All right. So then the next segment is Corner of the Stars, another talk show segment on the same set as before. This time, John Ritter is the guest. He is very into Piggy. He wants to sit next to her on the couch. There's this moment where he plays with her ears, which is really funny. He says, "Oh, I love these," which made me laugh out loud. And in this one, he wants to do a passionate love scene from Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. But Piggy insists on doing a scene where he plays the gangster and she plays the gangster's mall. And she keeps coming up with these scenarios like, oh, you're actually in jail. You're in solitary. We can't be together. And he keeps coming up with ways for them to like, oh, I broke out of jail, because he really wants to kiss Piggy, which becomes a little bit uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable.
It's just Pepe Le Pew. Like,
Great.
Okay.
Come here, baby.
Unfortunately, you are behind bars.
But I'm out on parole.
No! Close your mouth. No, but you are really in solitary. Ha ha ha.
But I escaped.
But they capture you again, and they put you in a place where no man has ever escaped from.
Until now.
But the guards shoot you. And you fall.
Right into your arms.
Yeah.
it's not. I didn't think it was funny at all.
No, and he like the way that he tries to kiss her too. It's like there's a couple of times where he's like going at her with his mouth wide open, like he's gonna try to eat.
Yeah, he's like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like making the sandwich noise at her. Sheesh.
I'm gonna do it again and say I think that he's hilarious in this.
Yeah.
Like,
but,
I think that
like Danny, we wanted you on here to talk about how this is good. I know. Like that's why you're.
Yeah.
Like,
I find him very fun. It's been a long time since I've seen anything with John Ritter in it, and watching this again, I was just like, oh, he's so funny.
Yes, I think he's doing a great job in this scene with bad material.
Yeah, maybe. the little turn where it's like where she has kind of challenged him of like, but you're in solitary, and like this little like the wheel turns in his mind like, but I escape, and like that like little thinking half second, I just find really like funny and appealing.
Yeah, I think the timing is good. He's good. If it were about something other than him trying to force himself on her, it would be better.
Yeah.
But,
and like, but him touching her ears totally feels weird to me. Like that is like he's touching part of her. It's like, it's super uncomfortable.
I guess that's true.
But then what's also weird is like at the very end of the sketch, she gives in and she kisses him back. And I feel like that's a weird lesson that we're teaching people.
Yeah, no, that's not.
Yep.
If this were on Disney Plus now, they would cut out. It would be like half the length of all the stuff they would cut out.
I wrote down. Yeah. I wrote down on my notes. Piggy is like Daenerys in the first season of Game of Thrones. I don't know if anyone gets that reference. I'm just gonna let it sit.
Sure, I would get it if I watched Game of Thrones.
All right. Well, that's for everyone else.
She's married to Aquaman, right? That's that thing.
Yep, but she falls in love with Aquaman after he plays with her ears for a long time.
Is that what happened?
A lot of very, very on camera. A lot of ear touching. Yeah. So there's that.
So
I love that we went there.
Ear touching. The next thing that happens is Piggy needs George Hamilton and John Ritter to fill some time. And I like this bit a lot where she tells them to look at the cue cards and they're just kind of tripping over the words. And like John Ritter says, when it comes to talent, she has none. She has none of the hang-ups of other superstars. And George Hamilton says, when you see her act in a movie, it's frightening. Next card. Frightening to think the Academy has overlooked her twice. And then John Ritter says, when Streisand first saw her, she threw up. Next card. She threw up her hands in despair and said, there's no sense in any of us working anymore. No one can stop you. Top you. So it's a short bit.
What I really appreciate about that bit, I didn't care for the fact they did the same type of joke 3 times in a row that you just read, but I do like the fact that like they're definitely looking way off screen. They're like stumbling. They're like, oh, it's your line. Like there's all these little things of like it really looks like they just saw the cue cards for the first time. Like I thought that worked out really well.
Yeah, I think it's really funny. I agree.
Like Carol Burnett show kind of humor, like just straight down the line, like funny script.
Yeah,
I dig it.
I like it. And that bit ends with George Hamilton saying, and now a musical treat, which is Miss Piggy's musical salute to the year, which is a song where Piggy appears in a different costume for every month of the year.
The flowers of May are swaying to the melody that's hung by every sunny honeybee. 'Cause the springtime is a person, we agree.
It's me! It's me! It's me!
This always makes me think of the musical number Girl for All Seasons from the movie Grease 2, which I'm sure you're all very familiar with. That was actually a year after this, so I'm going to assume that they stole the idea from this TV special.
Wow. Poor Grease 2. That's the best thing they can steal from.
Actually, do you want to hear something mildly interesting that I learned about Grease 2 recently? Yes. Chris Surf wrote 2 songs in it.
Oh,
I had no idea.
Yeah, they're not songs that are like sung by the characters. They're just kind of these like 50s rock and roll pastiches that you hear in the background. But yeah,
Chris Surf.
Well, they hired the right guy.
Absolutely.
You know what this calendar song reminds me of? The song
What does it remind you of?
Beautiful Girl and Singing in the Rain, which is like the montage
Oh,
song.
yeah. So, well, that's probably what they're going for, right?
And that's Singing in the Rain is better than Grease 2, Ryan. You should check it out.
Heard of it. Yeah, this is cute. Seeing Piggy running around trying to like change costumes and get back on stage by the time each month rolls around.
And this is a very like Muppet showy, like we're doing a musical number, but obviously like I guess like we haven't thought it through enough to like
we haven't planned
to give Piggy enough time to actually put the costumes on, and so she starts complaining and
true. But there's like not enough chaos to really pass it off as a joke.
Well, that's what I was going to say is in my memory, this whole song was about Piggy struggling to keep up with the costume changes. And that doesn't really come in until the end. And I don't like
until like October.
Until like October. And it's like, like the costumes are impressive. Callista Hendrickson's earning that paycheck. But like it's not that entertaining until Piggy starts kind of losing control.
Until she really starts ramping up. Yeah.
It takes forever for that to happen.
Fair enough.
Right, that's true. I mean, there's 12 months in a year. That's a lot of months.
Then
the song is really bad.
It's a terrible song. It's not as good as the Singing in the Rain one.
I don't remember anything about the song.
It goes.
How does it go, Joe? Sing it for us. Oh, Anthony, sing it for us.
January, February. I don't know how it
goes. Well, you got 2 of the words right.
I could sing it if I remembered the lyrics to it, but
see, nobody cares.
It goes.
We could all sing it if we remembered the lyrics.
Beautiful girl, such a lovely picture, beautiful girl. That's how it goes.
There you go.
Singing in the Rain.
Right. Also, that's Steve Whitmire in the lower left.
Yes, that's him.
The whole song, right?
Yep.
So like he's
that's Weldon, the IT game troll or whatever.
Weldon, the IT guy.
Yes, his popular character.
Oh, there's also that one dude who's like dressed as a lion. Yeah. And then he turns around and like back as a lamb.
George Hamilton, isn't it? Or that's John Ritter.
Was that George Hamilton?
I think it was John Ritter. I think.
Oh, I thought it was one of the dancers, but either way, like it looks embarrassing. Yeah, it looks like you put on and you go like, oh god, I gotta be on camera.
It should be.
I thought it looked really funny.
It should be a Muppet.
Yeah.
Oh, hey. Yes, that would be better if it was a Muppet lion and a
There's
Muppet
an
lamb.
idea. Yeah,
it kind of was like a Muppet lamb.
It's like a Muppet
it was very Muppet.
Yeah,
I'm sure the workshop
has like a Henson Triangle
the workshop built it,
lamb face.
Yeah,
they're just they're just not doing things like that in the special. That, like, you would
That's
expect
why
on the
it's
Muppet
bad.
Well, the next thing is this medley that's just like, once again, Miss Piggy at the center of everything. Miss Piggy is a goddess.
Yeah.
There's this orchestra that's on these risers way up all around the whole set. There's a studio audience now suddenly.
Yeah.
The lighting is constantly changing, and Piggy is standing on this riser right in the middle of the set where we can't see, like, she's not behind a wall.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, again, where is Frank Oz? He must have his arm like stuck way up, or maybe he's hiding like inside her dress somewhere. I don't know, but it's the set is crazy, and it looks really impressive. But this is actually the point every time I've watched the special where I kind of look to see how much time is left.
This is for me too. This is the moment where I crack. Where like
because we love Miss Piggy.
I totally get. And the thing is, I understand what they're doing. This is the correct thing. Like Buzz Cohen knows, if we're doing this like celebrity focused, like Judy Garland show hour, like at the 43-minute mark, you have the star on stage surrounded by like the thing, and she just stands there and she does a concert and everything is just focused on her. And so like, for the thing that they are like doing / spoofing, this is what goes here, but it's just Miss Piggy like not doing a joke, just singing a song, and then at the end of
nothing funny ever happens.
And at the end of that song, she sings another song.
Right. It's boring because they're just doing the thing. You know?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's not a spoof. It's just they're doing the thing.
Yeah, there are no layers. It needs layers.
Like,
although Tony Clifton does come back and sings that old Black Magic.
That doesn't help.
There's nothing funny about that.
That's
and then George Hamilton comes in and sings Three Times a Lady.
Man.
And the Look of Love, but
you want to talk
there's nothing funny about
that.
You
want to talk about this special being like Elliot Gould sings. I don't remember. Helen Reddy had a TV special where Elliot Gould is one of the guests, and Elliot Gould sings a romantic song at her. And this is that same thing.
At her.
It's just like an actor who can't sing, singing a song. And it's like, if it was good enough for the Helen Reddy special, it's good enough for the Fantastic Miss Piggy show. Because they are qualitatively the same thing.
You're once, twice, 3 times a lady. And I love you so. Yes, you're once, twice, 3 times a lady. I love you so.
And so I think when we talked earlier about like, so did America really did America love Miss Piggy this much? Like, I honestly think the answer was 100% yes until 44 minutes into this show.
Yeah.
Where they're like, wait, but she's just not a good singer. She's just singing songs. And then Tony Clifton comes in again, who you thought we'd gotten rid of. And I think that was the moment that broke the spell for America.
Right, because especially that Tony Clifton bit, it's like actually this whole thing, Piggy is not being presented as a good singer. Or, I'm sorry, she's not being presented as a bad singer.
Right. Yeah.
Like we're not laughing at that. And then when Tony Clifton comes out, we've got 2 people who are historically known as bad singers, and that's the bit. And they're doing a song completely straight.
Yeah.
And we're not laughing at it. We're not laughing with it anymore.
Right.
We've talked a lot about how a big part of the joke with Miss Piggy is just, look, it's a pig who thinks she can be a famous singer and actor. And it's, they usually manage to do a pretty good job of maintaining that joke. But it does. I think it's just because there's just so much Piggy in this. We've seen like everything is Piggy. And the other characters never really get to take the spotlight away from her for a moment. So by the time we get to this, it is just kind of like,
this is you just kind of break. Yeah.
Here we go.
One thing that I found kind of interesting. So Piggy sings "I Will Survive."
I like that she sings "I Will Survive."
Yeah. I love that she sings "I Will Survive." I'm surprised that she, as far as I know, she never sang it before this. Like it seems like a very Piggy song. The orchestration is like ominous.
That like
It's like
that like weird
like
bossa
like
nova.
marching at you with fire in her
Yeah.
eyes.
Yeah, this like weird bossa nova arrangement of "I Will Survive."
Go on now, go. Walk out the door. Just turn around now, 'cause you're not welcome anymore. Weren't you the one who tried to hurt me with goodbye? Did you think I'd crumble? Ha! Did you think I'd lay down and die? Oh no, not I will survive. For as long as I know how to love, I know I'll stay alive. I've got all my life to live. I've got all my love to give, and I'll survive. Yes, I will survive. I will survive.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's like angry bossa nova.
Right, but like Piggy singing, like you say, Piggy singing "I Will Survive" should be one of the best things ever. It should be like something we
Right,
talk
because
about.
Miss Piggy is an
yeah.
unlikely feminist icon
Yeah.
of the
Right.
70s, and this
Yep.
is this
But, like,
big,
the-
huge empowerment.
The
anthem.
arrangement just kills it, and then like the chorus comes back in with "Isn't she lovely?" for some reason.
Yeah.
Well, and isn't she lovely? Sounds ominous too.
Yeah,
it's like a
it's
threat.
terrible.
Like, isn't she lovely?
Or else.
Exactly.
Weird.
But I will say,
but I do love the "I Will Survive." Like I just like that's the thing.
No,
where like as
yeah,
a
it's-
Piggy fan, I'm just like, oh my god, she's singing
Yeah.
"I Will Survive." That's
It
so-
is
Frank-
good to have
Like,
Piggy sing
Frank
"I Will
is
Survive."
great.
Yeah.
It's just like
But yeah, but
everything
the,
else is
the
working
trappings
against
around
it.
that.
Yeah,
are wrong.
it's so strange.
Yeah.
I will say though, just an interesting little fact: the movie Man on the Moon ends with Tony Clifton singing "I Will Survive."
Oh, you're so right.
Yeah, think about that.
That's great.
Yep.
I will survive.
I will survive. Yes. And also, we didn't mention that you see Jocelyn Stevenson in the audience.
Oh.
Oh yes, thank you. I saw that on the wiki.
Yeah, she
that's a
Muppet
nice-
writer Jocelyn Stevenson, and she I have to assume that the audience is just filled up with the Muppet performers, like friends and family.
I
Like
think
she's the only one
probably
we saw,
yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. That would be cool to be in that audience.
I think it would be awful.
No, I mean
like nothing's happening.
No, but just because Muppet Productions usually like there is no
Yeah,
audience for the
yeah.
Muppet Show or Muppets Tonight, so
I
don't know.
suppose, I
It's
just-
kind of a once in a lifetime thing.
I feel like if you were asked, okay, so here's the thing. Like, imagine if you were asked to go watch like a Muppet thing live, and you're like so excited, but you got to first of all, you got
sounds
to wear
really cool,
you got to wear a tuxedo. Okay, so you got to dress up nice.
right?
You got to put on your evening gown. You show up. You sit there. There's probably like a 4 or 5 hour shoot where Piggy is standing in one place singing
Yeah.
terrible
Yeah.
renditions of songs.
They got to get the orchestra to
Yep.
climb up on top of the
Mm,
risers.
yeah,
You got to
Clifton.
wait for all that to set up.
Tony Clifton's not coming out of his dressing room.
And
then
they're
why
and
is
they're
George
looking
Hamilton
at it.
here?
Yeah, and they're looking at it and they're saying, "This America does not want this." Like, this
Like,
is gonna
literally,
kill us.
Perhaps.
This will kill
Jocelyn
us.
Stevenson probably stood up and said, "I think we're done with Piggy now."
Let's just focus on Fraggles from now on.
That's
being
right.
said, then they cut to commercial and they come back and it's like the
Yes.
funniest 5 minute that Miss Piggy has ever had.
Like once, I mean, Ryan's probably about to say this, but like once Piggy finds out it's a special and not a series, everything after that is perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, she comes out first. She says, like, it sounds like she's going to start thanking all the Muppets, and she says it takes a lot of people to like to put on a show like this. It takes a lot of people who are and shall remain behind the scenes. Yeah. So she doesn't give anybody any special thanks. And then she brings out our friend Mr. Gregory. What was
Kevin
his name?
T. Gregory.
Kevin T. Gregory. And then he has to break it to her that this is not the first episode in a weekly primetime series. This is just a special. Actually, side note, I think the first time I found out about this was when it was going to be airing on the Disney Channel in the early 90s. I guess I missed it because I didn't see it until it was on Nickelodeon later. But when I first read about it, I thought, oh, wow, cool. The Fantastic Miss Piggy Show. They're going to do a new series. So I was just as dumb as Miss Piggy is in this moment.
Also, I figured this is the same trick that Jason Segel tried to pull with his 2011 Muppet movie, where like in his original script, it ended with the Muppets. Like they did their whole show. It was a big success. And Kermit looks right in the camera and says, and guess what? We're bringing the Muppet Show back. It'll be on Fridays on ABC or whatever. And And Disney read it. They were like, "Nice try."
Yeah. So, but in this special, he tells her that no, this is just a one-time special. Of course, by the way, Frank Oz was never going to do another weekly series again.
Oh,
but
yeah.
for the first time in this hour-long special, Piggy karate chops somebody.
Yeah.
The Muppets in the control room start panicking, and then so we think it might be over, but then Kermit has to introduce the actual finale, which is the impossible dream. There's this big, huge, dramatic overture, the dancers, the singers, and then
I was going to say about Kermit. It's like Kermit rushes on stage to try to reestablish his like Muppet Show-esque control over the situation, right?
Right.
And it doesn't work at all. Like that's what's so great about it.
Yeah.
Is that like for 30 seconds or 45 seconds or whatever, it feels like we're watching the Muppet Show and Kermit is going to introduce the closing number and everything is going to be fine. And it's a fake out.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
Yeah.
Although even on the Muppet Show, things often were not fine.
Right. But like,
Kermit
still comes out for the good night, my man.
And,
you know?
Yeah. And I think a thing like just before Kermit comes out that she says like, let me get this straight. I've been killing myself for one crummy show.
One crummy show.
Right. which is her saying like, we've just been through this whole hour of crazy, and it's again, it's like this oppositional like camp artifice thing of like, okay, the thing that we just all of this like we were saying, like we spent money on this, we did costumes, we built a pagan idol thing, like it's been insane. And Piggy just says, well, but this sucks, like this doesn't matter. why did we even do this? And kind of like just attacks Piggy, like directly attacks the TV special that she is currently making.
Yes.
Which I think is
and then continues to do so.
Yes.
But first, though, we have the impossible dream. It's not Piggy. It's John Ritter dressed as Piggy doing a very impressive falsetto with the pig nose and everything.
Tripping downstairs because he's wearing high heels.
Yeah, in the heels.
What John Ritter does.
And it's like, this is why you hire John Ritter. He's really good.
Absolutely. And it's kind of surprising that, as far as I can recall, they never really did this on the Muppet Show, where I mean, they did, like Loretta Swit pretended to be Piggy in Pigs in Space, but I don't think they ever did it with a male guest star like doing the Miss Piggy act.
Right. Yeah. Although this feels like a closing number, like that feels like something they would have done on John Ritter's episode of the Muppet Show or something.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
So
well, they did Dream the Impossible Dream in the closing number of the John Cleese episode.
That's right. Yeah.
True. Yeah, which was similarly like attacking the guest star. Yeah, like they're doing with John Ritter throughout this.
Basil Fawlty and Jack Tripper.
Piggy. Yes.
Actually. No, but I was going to say the irony of the fact that John Ritter had to wear high heels and stumble on them as he was going down the stairs, when Miss Piggy doesn't actually wear high heels because she has no legs.
True. Yes.
And so I think like this is not just a closing number. I believe this is the closing number, and I'll explain what that means. That we talked about within Muppets Go to the Movies, that the whole point of that show was like to be the last episode of the Muppet Show.
They're ending the Muppet Show. Yeah,
we're ending the Muppet Show now. We're closing up the Muppet Theater, and now we're going to go and make movies. And like now this is this new thing. And so it's sort of like this beautiful kind of liberation moment of like, we're saying goodbye to the Muppet Show, but now we're going to like become this whole huge other thing. And this scene, I think, is they're like, oh, and also we're going to trash the place before we leave. Like,
right, because what happens is Piggy sees what's happening and she just runs out and just destroys the set. She's chasing John Ritter. She karate chops a camera, which somehow causes explosions in the control room, and then like everything is falling down and exploding, and
she pulls the garland down from a pillar, which then like falls over and basically destroys the whole set. And
right.
this is the angry punk version of that, like end of Muppets Go to the
Right,
Movies.
for
Is
sure.
Now, like we're not coming back to TV.
Yeah, and you had pointed out, Danny, that at the end of Muppets Go to the Movies, they're leaving the theater and they close the door. And at the end of this, one of the last things we see is Piggy like slamming the door as she leaves the studio.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm done with TV. That's it.
Yeah, and good. And now the Muppets aren't popular anymore.
Well, that's.
I will say it seemed like a really abrupt ending to me. Like everything's falling all over the place, and there's chaos in the studio and whatever. And then Piggy slams the door. She says, "I'm too delicate for show business," and then it just ends. And I don't know what I expected. I don't know if I wanted what I would even think of that would go after that, or at least to extend that last moment. But it just felt like, I don't know. Felt like my like the end of The Sopranos, where it just went to black.
I think it's that we don't see the Muppets again. Like we don't see a reaction from Kermit. We do have like a tiny glimpse of like something blowing up and they're getting upset in the control room.
Just everybody being like, "Whoa, what is she doing?"
But but we don't get that like little tag of like Kermit looking around and whatever he's.
But like, did they finish their sandwiches first?
Yeah, I think they did.
I hope so. People listening on their earbuds are going to love us making those noises.
Sorry,
by the way.
I'll stop. I promise.
But yeah, that's the end of the special. One thing that I kept thinking was I just wish they had let some of the other Muppets do something on stage at some point. Yeah. Oh, so according to Muppet Wiki, this special has had a few home video releases, but none of them have been on commercial labels in the US. Something called Films Incorporated released a copy on VHS for educational outlets in 1988. Special is very educational.
But did you notice the picture on the Muppet Wiki for that one? It's just a picture of a sun. Like Miss Piggy's not even on the cover.
No, I think it was just like a generic.
I bet it was like a line. I bet it was like a line of tapes that all had the identical cover and just the title.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe. I think it's kind of hysterical that they're like, nobody will care. Yeah. Like nobody needs to see the pig. Her name's in the title. They get it.
Yeah.
That was actually weird. Like I actually I got that from a library, I think. Like there was films they put out like the Muppets Go Hollywood and Fantastic Miss Piggy Show and probably another couple and it was like this random thing that I managed to find and was like it's random just because like I don't know who used these.
Right. I guess maybe teachers showed them in their classrooms, like just to make the kids shut up for an hour.
Miss Piggy Show, though?
I don't know. Kids love George Hamilton. Then it was released on a Portuguese DVD along with Miss Piggy's Hollywood and the Loretta Swit episode.
Which sounds awesome. I would buy that.
I want that release.
Yeah.
But also, like looking at that cover, it looks like the title of the special is Woman Piggy.
And then it was also released on a DVD in Hebrew, where it was just called The Miss Piggy Show.
Dubbed into the language Hebrew?
I assume so. I don't know. Maybe someone out there wants to track that down and let us know. But
and again, the irony that a pig on a Hebrew DVD. Think about it.
I like the idea that the Fantastic Miss Piggy Show is just this thing that like people around the world will find it and just be baffled by it. And,
absolutely.
And the longer that goes by, like people are it's going to get just more and more confusing.
Yeah.
This weird artifact.
It's a very weird.
I mean, it's been. I don't think Disney's ever going to release it commercially. I'll go ahead and say that it is on YouTube if people want to go track it down. It's been there for quite a while. So,
and that's how
discover it and be baffled by it.
Yes.
That's all I have. So I will ask if anyone else has any final thoughts. Joe, let's start with you.
I mean, nothing really.
Shaking your head no.
Well, I'm shaking my head no because I have gone through all my notes, which I'm very proud of. But
great.
I mean, look, here's the thing: is I went into it thinking, this isn't going to be the best thing ever, but I'm going to enjoy it, and I pretty much enjoyed it. But I think half of that was hate watching. Like it's so bad, but I still appreciate it for its badness.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is one of those things when you're a young budding Muppet fan, you just sort of assume that everything they ever made is good. And then at a certain point, when you're rewatching things, you kind of have to ask yourself, okay, but why is this one good?
Yep.
And maybe there aren't as many. Maybe I can't come up with as many reasons why this one is good, but I still do. There's a lot that I enjoy.
Yeah, and I think
makes
a
me
lot
laugh.
of what Danny said, about putting it into the context of camp and putting it in the context of Miss Piggy's, actually really Frank Oz's like farewell to
Yeah.
like to Hollywood or whatever, however you want to say it. Like I feel like that puts it in a context that makes me appreciate it a lot more.
Right.
That's what I'm here for. Yeah. I gotta
Yep, so-
I gotta say, like, gay dudes like the show a lot more than everybody else. And I'm so sorry that other people can't appreciate it the way that, like, somehow innately gay dudes are programmed to, like, be able to do. But this,
Sure.
I'm so happy that this exists.
Yeah, I'm absolutely happy that it exists.
Such like a camp, odd piece of craziness. I do think it's possibly responsible for the Muppets, like, kind of losing some of their luster in the, after the Great Muppet Caper. But I cannot hate it for that. Even
though people saw it when they tuned in for Charles and Diana.
I mean, that makes that really funny, especially the last 5 minutes. That if you just turn it on early and all you're seeing is this pig puppet
just smashing
the set
things
of her own show is just hilarious.
Yeah,
it is. This is like the Regis and Kathy Lee angry cooking show segment of 1982, and it just is what it is.
Yeah, I'll have to link to that in the show notes here. All right, Anthony, any final thoughts?
No, I said everything I have to say about this thing earlier, I think.
Okay. Then with that, we will wrap things up for this week. We will be back pretty soon, sometime in the relatively near future, with one more bonus episode before we get to the Muppets Take Manhattan. We will be talking about another TV special, very different from this one. It's John Denver and the Muppets Rocky Mountain Holiday. So keep an eye out for that episode. And until then, make sure you check out toughpigs.com. Sorry, Anthony is shaking his head, I guess, at the mere thought of talking about Rocky Mountain Holiday.
I feel bad that I'm like the guy who hates Muppets on this podcast now, but I feel like
you got to have one.
Every time we talk about a special, I'm just like, oh, this is bad. Oh,
yeah.
Dick Van Dyke is illy used.
So in the meantime, make sure you check out toughpigs.com on the internet, Facebook, Twitter, and all those other places. And we would like to hear from you if you have thoughts on this episode, on the Fantastic Miss Piggy show, or if you have anything to say about the Muppets Take Manhattan, which is coming up. Feel free to drop by our Facebook page or Twitter or the Tough Pigs forum, which is linked on the front page of the website. Or you can send us an email at movinrightalong@toughpigs.com. You can find me on Twitter at @me_Ryan_Rowe, and Anthony is still not on Twitter anymore. He's managed to stay away all these weeks and months.
It's for plebeians.
That said, Danny, where can people find you on the internet?
I am finishing up my 1960s vampire soap opera blog, Dark Shadows Every Day. So you can ask for it by name, darkshadowseveryday.com.
So I'm sure if you Google that phrase, that your blog is probably the first thing that comes up.
That's what
excellent. And Joe, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me wherever good Tough Pigs products are sold. So please check out all the Tough Pigs accounts on all of the Tough Pigs social media things: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We probably have a Tumblr. I don't know.
Does anyone still maintain the Tough Pigs Tumblr?
No, we have not posted on that in a long time. But we have a few tumbles that still get a lot of traction. People sure like 3 of the pictures that I posted there, like 4 years ago. But personally, I'm on Twitter at Joe Hennis. I'm on Instagram at ToughPigsJoe. And I don't know. I'm just hanging out in my apartment, so if someone wants to pop by, feel free.
I will take you up on that.
You got to be careful what you say. Okay, everyone, go to Joe's apartment and say hi. And also, please give us a positive review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you can do that. Do it right now while you're hearing my voice tell you to do it. Don't wait until later. Do it right now. And tell your friends all about the show. And join us again next time for another episode of Moving Right Along. Bye.
Bye.
Farewell.
Killing ourselves for one crummy show.
Okay, previous podcast guest, Roz Strand. What did you think of the special?
Okay. There is only one person earning their money during this special. Okay? And that's Miss Piggy. Everybody else is just phoning it in. Even her hairdresser is phoning it in. The choreographer is phoning it in. The makeup artist is out to lunch. And whoever is telling Kermit what to do needs to wake up because he didn't do anything on this special. Nobody did anything except for Piggy. And I'm really mad at Joe Raposo also for writing music in the way that he did.
Thank you. You know
This
what?
could have been great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for that
Totally
concise
agree.
review.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty
Finally.
much all you need to know.